I'm not a millionaire and I'm not going to become a millionaire, I don't think.
Well, hello friends and welcome to Ariel's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. I'm at home right now, but only for 2 more days. I'm between a trip to America and a trip to Canada, and in between those 2 things, I've been doing a tour of the southeast of England. So things are a little frantic, but I've put on my fake glasses because today we're going to talk about finance. But first, I want to let you know my audiobook has just come out worldwide, narrated by me. It is my memoir, Playing to Lose, and it's available everywhere. Audible and everywhere else that you could possibly want to buy an audiobook. So I hope you will enjoy it. I absolutely loved narrating it. It was the most joyful few days. It made me able to hear my story as though it was someone else's, and that was a really lovely experience. So I hope it will make you laugh, because actually it did make me laugh listening back to it, which was a lovely surprise. But today I want to talk about something that I've been planning since January. In January 2024, I decided to work out my net worth, because as those of you who followed my channel for a while will know, I've done quite a few videos about income and how to maximise your earnings as a fetish model like me, or an independent model, or an internet model. And what I haven't talked so much about is wealth creation, because really you can be earning a fantastic, massive salary, and if you don't hang on to some of that money, it might not end up counting for very much. So in January, I decided I would work out what my net worth was. And calculating your net worth is essentially about working out what your assets are, so what cash you have in your account, what funds you have in savings and investments, and then subtracting from that anything that you owe. So it's what you own minus what you owe. So for example, mortgages, credit card debt, anything like that. And I was surprised to discover in January that my net worth was £919,000. And for the first time in my life, I realised actually the video I made a year ago, in which I said I would probably never be a millionaire.
Clearly, I'm not a millionaire and I'm not going to become a millionaire, I don't think.
Might actually be incorrect, because suddenly I realised I wasn't completely out of reach of that goal. And it was never a goal that I'd given for myself, because that seemed absurd. So I kept an eye on things, and in April 2024 I did the same calculation and my net worth was up to £960,000. And then on the 1st of June I did the same calculation again and my net worth was up to £999,000. And so today, on the 9th of June 2024, my net worth is £1,009,600. So first of all, I just want to celebrate the fact that I've been in this strange, obscure industry for 20 years, and it has been full of challenges as well as many pleasures, and it has made me a millionaire, which means that I'm not the only one. Because that's the most important thing. It's by no means am I the most successful professional model there ever was, or the most successful porn star there ever was, or the most successful BDSM model, or fetish model, or whatever. If my net worth is $1 million, it means that there are other models whose net worth is $1 million plus. And if you are a model watching this, it means that perhaps, if you haven't got there yet, you can get there. And that seems so worth celebrating, because one thing I've become aware of more and more over the last few years is the power that working in this industry has to give specifically women who've not necessarily had the best start in life the opportunity to earn the sort of money that traditionally we might not have done. So, having met a lot of models over my career, I'm aware that although there are plenty of us who got great educations, who came from supportive families, all of that stuff, there are also plenty of us who did not receive good educations, or came from abusive families or deprived backgrounds. And the fact that you can potentially end up in such a financially privileged position, despite potentially not coming from the sort of background where people would expect that, that just seems like a really wonderful, emancipating, powerful thing. So, the other thing I want to say about this is I want to tell you how I did it, because it's not just having done lots of modelling and earned plenty of money. because I worked out how much my net worth would be now if I hadn't invested in property. So at the time I'm making this video, I own 6 investment rental properties which I rent out. If I hadn't done that, if I just put the money that I put into buying those properties in savings, and if by chance that those savings had kept up perfectly with inflation, today I would be worth £515,000, which is no small thing. I think I would have taken that and been very grateful, but I have doubled my net worth from investing in property. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to invest in property, of course they don't, and just like any other kind of investing, it can go wrong. So it could be that my investments will go down in value next year or in 2 years' time. It's perfectly possible. If you invest in property, you have to really be in it for the long haul, because it will tend to Toblerone up and down a little bit through the years, although at least in the UK the trend has been reliably upwards over the long term. So I'm not saying you have to invest in property, although I made a video down there for if you do want to invest in property, because certainly I've had a really great experience of doing so. It just means that if you are fortunate enough to be succeeding professionally as a model, it's just really important to do something with your money other than just go on expensive holidays, because investing it is what will give you wealth in the long term. So I was interested, once I'd worked out what my net worth was, I wanted to know how normal that was, because a while ago I decided I didn't actually know what income would put you in the top 1% in the UK, and it's £180,000 a year, which is way, way, way below the top 1% in the USA. In the USA, to be in the top 1%, you have to be earning £800,000 a year, so way, 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 way more. But here in the UK, you need to earn £180,000 plus, and I've been exceeding that for the last 4 years. So I knew I was in the top 1% in terms of income, but a thing I find really interesting is that having a net worth of £1 million does not put you in the top 1% in this country. The top 4.8% of the adult population in the UK have a net worth of £1 million or more. In the USA, it's 9% of the adult population have a net worth of £1 million or more, which is like, that's such a lot. It makes me realise what a wealthy country the USA is compared to here, even though spending time in both countries, that's not necessarily particularly evident. Super, super interesting to me. So why is it that I've been in the top 1% in terms of earning in this country for a while, but I've only just made it into the top 5% in terms of actual wealth, what I'm worth? Well, the reason for that, as far as I can see, is simply property. The average home here in the UK is worth just under 300,000, but the average home in London is worth 720,000. So anyone who's held onto property in one of our major cities over the long term is very likely to have at least one asset that's worth something in that region. And of course then, if your house is worth 700,000, you own it outright and you've got 300,000 in the bank, you're in the same position as me. Your net worth is 1 million. And it's because of property and the value of property going up so regularly in our country that so many people who aren't necessarily earning a massive amount each year are pulled into that net worth of 1 million or more. So I feel like this has been such a useful thing for me to figure out. You might want to do it yourself. So obviously a lot of people watching will already know how to figure out your net worth, but just to explain, if you want to work it out, you have to make a list of all your assets, all the things you own, all the cash you have, and the things that you could easily sell to get cash. And then you need to make a list of your liabilities, like your mortgages, for example, any credit card debt, any other kind of debt, and then you subtract your liabilities from your assets. So for example, for me, my assets were the money in my business account after I'd put tax money aside, the money in my personal account after I'd done the same thing, and the money in my property company account. I needed to add the capital growth for each property to the deposit I'd put into each property, and that is the equity I now have in each of those properties. Of course, I have to take into consideration that several of those properties have mortgages, but it was interesting to discover that the cash I had in the bank is massively eclipsed by the equity I have in my properties. Now, when you're working out your net worth. There's a bit of a disagreement as to whether you should include the property that you live in, because unless you're planning to die, you're going to need somewhere to live. So for that reason, for example, I don't count the value of my car, because I can't sell my car to realise its cash value. I need my car in order to work and to live. And the argument of people who don't include the value of their house they live in as part of their net worth is that, well, you need to live somewhere. So what I decided to do is I did a kind of hybrid, because so many people do include the property they live in when they calculate their net worth. I decided to include part of it, because yes, I would need to live somewhere, but no, I would not need to live in a house this big if I wasn't doing my job. And also, of course, I own the house I live in with Howell, so to begin with I only had half of the value of the property to play with in any case. So that is how you can work it out for yourself, and it's really interesting, because one thing I've really enjoyed is since January, when I worked out my net worth for the first time, having that in mind has certainly helped me to make good decisions in terms of holding on to my money, because it seems to me that when you work out your net worth, it basically tells you how well you are holding on to wealth, as opposed to just how much you're earning. And I've known for a while I've been earning far more than I ever expected to, but it is news to me that I have actually managed to accrue so much wealth, because I mean, I feel like I'm spending money all of the time, and of course we are, all of us. So what I would really like to say to you, especially if you're a model, and especially if you are a young model or a new model, is that I would love to send this video I'm making now back in time to 25-year-old me, who just started modelling and was really frightened it was all going to end again at any minute. And I would like to give her this to aim for, because although I feel like I've done really well, I could have done better if I'd known that I'd got the chance of staying in this industry as long as I've been in it, with the level of success that I've had. And so I would love to just encourage newer or younger models than me that there's really a lot of money to be made in this industry, and you really can give yourself a good chance of setting yourself up for a much easier later life, because I don't come from a family with a whole lot of money. A lot of us don't, of course. I never expected to get to this point, anywhere near this point, from my silly little business of making custom videos in my bedroom. And I know, much as I'd love to say that it's because I'm incredibly beautiful and incredibly talented and incredibly hardworking, I think only one of those things is true, and I think it's that I am relentlessly hardworking. And it is nice to know that your hard work can get you far, far, far further than I would have ever expected. And so don't underestimate yourself. I suppose that's what I'd like to say. This career has given me a lifestyle so far beyond what I expected when I was growing up, so far beyond what I thought I would be capable of achieving. I just want you to know, if you're watching this, that that could well be the case for you. And I know financial security isn't the only valuable thing in the world. Oh gosh, I mean, it's pretty nice to have. I've never felt financially secure, ever, ever, ever. I've always been frightened about being poor again, and I will never stop, I don't think, being frightened. But today I have to say I'm probably less frightened than I ever have been before, which maybe doesn't sound like much, but I really appreciate it. And finally, what I'd like to say is thank you so much to everyone who supports my work, because clearly there's no way I'd have got to this point without people buying my work and being supportive and choosing to support my work rather than going and watching stolen porn on the internet. It really means an awful lot. I'm so lucky that so many of my clients are friends, and I value you just massively. So thank you, always thank you. No professional model gets any success without the support of the people who buy her work, and I'm absolutely no exception to that, and I appreciate it. This is no exaggeration. I appreciate it absolutely every day. So thank you. Hope you enjoy working out your net worth. Hope it inspires you to increase your net worth if you want to. And I hope you have a lovely month. I will be back with more next month. Hopefully I won't have lost all my money again. You never know, do you? Please like, subscribe, purchase my audiobook. I am so excited about it, and I'm right in the middle of writing book 2. Thanks as always for watching. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Oh, did you know my net worth is £1 million?